Hello everybody, it's the Gary Neville Podcast this evening from Craven Cottage, beautiful sunny evening in West London, off the back of a 1-1 draw between Fulham and Manchester United. And Gary, you've just been looking at the numbers actually, which were on the screen moments ago, and it's just about bang level.
Yeah, it was a pretty even game in the end. I think that you look at all the stats, possession was 52-48, shots on target, shots on goal, expected goals, all pretty level. Fulham came back into it in the second half and finished really strongly. I thought they were a lot better in the second half. I thought United were the better team in the first half, particularly in that first period. And yeah, fair result. We don't like watching draws. We always feel a little bit like on the way home, but you're going to get them in football, and I think it was probably the right result today for both teams.
What's it done to your mindset vis-a-vis Manchester United? If you came away with cautious optimism from Old Trafford a week ago, where are you at now?
Yeah, I think it's been checked slightly because there were a couple of the old sort of scars sort of felt like they were sort of reappearing and opened up. I think that what Fulham did, they tried to pack between. What United did quite well in the first half to stop Fulham's sort of shape was that Mount would fill in quite well. He sort of glues that midfield to the front, and he helped Cunha and Mbeumo in respect of sort of their defensive work. And he certainly got alongside Casemiro and he got alongside Fernandes, and it meant that when Iwobi was in those positions, just sort of drifting in and trying to find pockets, because we know the problem for United is when you flatten that back five out of United, and then you have the two in midfield, the big gaps are here and here alongside that two in midfield. But when the three up top come back quite tight and compact, it means that there's not a lot of room to operate in. And in the first half, I thought United were really quite compact with that five, that two and that three, and Mountain does that really well as well. So I think that's why they combated most of the problems that occurred in the second half in the first half. The problem was the game opens up a little bit, and I said this last week, a little bit worrying. Fulham got a lot stronger when they made their substitutions. I actually thought United got worse when they made theirs. Šeško at the moment, let's just say it, he's nowhere near in terms of fitness or sort of just getting up to speed. I think Ruben Amorim before the game said that. Obviously there is a clamour to play him. I think last week I was saying, look, let's just get him straight in. He is going to have to get him in against Grimsby and give him 90 minutes. And he's going to have to probably play him against Burnley next Saturday just to get him going, because you can see he needs football. And what you can't do is let a sort of player of that value, that potential, just keep being on the bench. The problem he'll have is that he wants to keep mounting the team. But I think what you saw with United, when they brought Šeško on, when they sort of then put a Mount into midfield, took Casemiro off, they did get opened up and they looked like Fulham could score. And then the strange one for me was the actual changing of the back line again, with Yoro and Shaw going off with 5 minutes to go. You don't want to be changing that back line if you can help it. I know Dalot came on for Ahmad. So, yeah, a few of the old wounds appearing again, but look, I don't think we got overly carried away last week. We just said it was optimistic. I thought the first 20 minutes, actually, first 15 minutes, some of United's play was really bright, and they should have gone definitely ahead in the first half. We obviously know Bruno Fernandes, missed a penalty. So yeah, I think a little bit more subdued. In fact, quite a bit more subdued than after last week. But it's 2 games in. But what they can't do is let this run of defeat, draw. They've got to win against Burnley next Saturday and get that optimism and that confidence and that momentum. You see a lot less of Fulham, of course. I'm sure their supporters will be interested in your read on Fulham. I thought they were really good, really organised. I know that there's a lot of talk at Fulham about the fact they've not made signings, and there's a little bit of despair, and maybe, when a club doesn't make signings, everyone feels a little bit sort of downbeat about it. But, I looked at the Fulham team and I saw the Fulham bench. I thought, I think Fulham are okay. Fulham have got a good team already. They've got a good bench. Famously, Liverpool last year didn't really add too much to their team and won the title. And sometimes not adding players can be as good as adding players, because you can sort of freshen it up for no apparent reason. I actually think what they've got there today, that just appeared from up there. It's raining team sheets. No, I think that from what I saw today of Fulham, the team that started did well, and the team that, the 4 or 5 that came on did really well, and they actually made them a lot better. You think of sort of Raul Jimenez coming off the bench, Smith Rowe, Robinson, Harry Wilson. They were really bright. And they were too sharp for United in that last period of the game. So, yeah, maybe 1 or 2 coming in this week would add a little bit of a spark that naturally a new signing does. But don't be too disheartened, Fulham fans, about it. I know I'm not a Fulham fan, but the team that I saw consistently do well last season, I think will do well this season. And I think the fact that you've come back in 2 games, you've shown a spirit, you've played well. I think it was a good performance from Fulham in the end. I mean, you think of the investment of Manchester United compared to Fulham, and it's night and day. So you have to say that they're, well out punching their weight. And I thought they had a good day.
Okay, we'll come back to the other 2 Sunday games, perhaps to finish with, both of which have a narrative, of course. But in terms of the other big business of the weekend, it began, of course, with Spurs winning at Manchester City. Did you see a lot of that game?
I did. I watched it. I was surprised. Obviously, I think maybe it's very early in the season. So when obviously Manchester City won at Wolves last week, we're all thinking, are we missing the obvious here of Manchester City being the title winners this season? But then when you saw them on Saturday, you're thinking, it looks a little bit old. It looks a little bit, like they were sort of overpowered, outrun. Tottenham did really well. Thomas Frank, what a start that he's had. They're showing adaptability. I think Jamie Carragher did a really good piece. Small piece, but it was a really nice piece on Monday night about how he's played in the 2 games. In the first week, played against Burnley last weekend at home, but then how it differed from the performance against PSG. And I think that from that point of view, I think in the 3 games, Thomas Frank's demonstrated how agile he is. They had that disappointment in midweek of missing out on Eze, and it was a little bit embarrassing for them. But that, I think, on Saturday was a really good performance, good result. Obviously, they have got a fantastic manager there who's done brilliantly at Brentford, and you can see it's rubbing off on them already. But like I say, it's very early in the season, not time to get carried away, but fantastic for Tottenham. A little bit worrying for Manchester City.
Hard in context for Arsenal fans not to start getting carried away 2 games in, of course, always that caveat. But they were terrific. I mean, you and I were both there on Saturday night. I just thought there was a lovely feel about the way they played and the ambience in the stadium and introducing Eze and all of that. It was a happy place, wasn't it?
It was. The obvious negative for Arsenal were the 2 injuries to Ødegaard and Saka. That was the sort of big downer of the day. The other thing, in that first half an hour when Leeds were just sat deep, they couldn't break them down. There was a little bit of the recycling, but then when you score, people just say, well, that's patience. That's what good teams do. But I think what they have to do is make sure that they're innovative in that final third. They've got such good players. They can take a bit more risk in that final third of the pitch. They're such a good team. They've kept 2 clean sheets. They don't look like they're going to concede a lot of goals. And when they do get shots on the goal, the goalkeeper pulls off some fantastic saves. So they're in a good place, Arsenal. They're solid. They are consistent. They finished second 3 times, which in the Premier League is tough to do. To get that extra step, that little bit of spark up top. Gyökeres, what a big day it was for him to score that goal. There was sheer relief, wasn't there, in the stadium when he cut inside. And when he moved down that left channel, I was almost thinking, come on, what have you got? I think it was Strike, was it? And it was up against, and just showed him back inside. But he showed he had power, and he showed he had that confidence, and he hits it early. And then to get a double, he scored 2 in 2. And the pressure's off him. Not off him, but the pressure's released, and he'll feel, he'll walk into the training ground Monday morning, and he'll think, his chest will be out a little bit, and he'll start to get that little bit of good feeling from his teammates, from the fans, people in the street that he passes, and obviously the media, because we stopped talking about him when obviously he doesn't score. So I think it was a good day for him. Great for Max Dowman to come on. I mean, to see a 15-year-old, I was talking about this during the game and saying he's got his GCSE year coming up. What's he going to do next Monday when he's got double geography, double history? What's he going to do? I mean, how are they going to manage and keep that? I mean, obviously he's grounded. He must be to have the temperament to be able to be where he is. He showed a couple of really nice glimpses, didn't he, in the game? So it was a good thing. And Arsenal had 2 or 3 players out there at the end that come through the ranks, which I always like to see.
Yeah, Wanyeri, one of them. And in that context, slightly putting you on the spot here, so forgive me, but if Saka doesn't play next week, and which feels likely, we don't know, of course we don't know, don't want to speculate, but if he doesn't, and supposing Ødegaard doesn't as well, just for the sake of the exercise, and you've got Eze, you've got Wanyeri, I suppose you've got Dowman as well. I mean, just have some fun at picking the Arsenal team.
Yeah, look, for me, Eze is going to come in on that left-hand side. I think Gyökeres is going to play up front. And I actually thought the minute that Saka went off and Madueke went to the right-hand side, I thought all of a sudden he looked at home. it's a strange phenomenon, isn't it, that to see a sort of left winger play on the left side of midfield. We don't see that too much. They're always opposite-footed wingers now. But to see Madueke go over to that right-hand side on his left foot, I thought he looked a lot better for that 5 minutes or so that he was there. So you have Madueke, I think, on the right. I think you'll have Gyökeres up front. I think you'll have Eze to the left. And then in midfield, you've got Zubamendi, you've got Rice, and you've got Mourinho, you've got Waneri. So you've got players. I think he'll bring Mourinho in. I think what he'll do is he'll make it a lot stronger, a lot more physical. That's what I would do, I think. And I think that's what Mikel Arteta will do. He'll go with one of his more powerful players in there. But you think of a midfield three of Rice, Mourinho, and Zubamendi with Eze, Gyökeres, and Madueke. I mean, that's still a fantastic front six. And they've got the best back five in the country at this moment in time. They've got a really dependable back line. I think Timber is a very good fullback. I thought he was outstanding when he came on at Old Trafford. I thought he was very good yesterday, giving man of the match. Not because he's a right back, because he scored 2 and he's done well. And then at left back, they've got real power with Calafiori, and then they've got the sort of the skill and tenacity of Miles Lewis-Skelly. So they've got real options, Arsenal. Not to mention Trossard and others that obviously, they don't want to lose Havertz, they don't lose Saka, they don't lose Ødegaard. They don't, but they have got better options behind them now with the signings of Madueke, Eze and Gyökeres. And we're going to see maybe all 3 of them up front against Liverpool. And why not?
That's going to be a belting game. Already looking forward to it. Liverpool have Newcastle to play first. Chelsea fans might be saying we scored 5 as well, actually. What about us, Gary?
No, I mean, I think it's a really good result for Chelsea. They obviously go 1-0 down in the game. But it's important for Chelsea to win, obviously after last week. Even though Crystal Palace, I think, are a tough team to play against, it was a good away win for Chelsea. It'll just get them going. Is it realistic that they can win the Premier League title? I don't think so. But I think if you're getting into the Champions League places and in and around there, a couple of seasons on the bounce, then you're certainly starting to move forwards. And there's a long way to go, but it was a game that you would expect them to win as well. I think West Ham are really struggling.
One of your big topics this early season has been around hoping that the promoted teams do okay, and they've all got to win.
Yes.
2 games in.
Yeah, incredible. Yeah, obviously Sunderland brought back down to earth a little bit, but then for Burnley, brilliant that they've won, and the fact that the 3 of them have won in the first week. Obviously Sunderland brilliantly last weekend, Leeds on Monday Night Football, and then Burnley on Saturday with some good moments in the game. I think Sunderland had some good moments in the first half and could have gone up in that game. So I think that to have 3 points after 2 games, it would have been they all would have taken it. There's no doubt about that. So they're in a good place. It gives them a bit of confidence that they can win games, and there's no doubt. And saying this on Monday night earlier on in the week, every time a promoted team wins a football match, it feels like an event. It did when Brentford first came into the Premier League. It was almost like, they were doing laps of honours every time they won 3 points, and rightly so, because it's challenging. It's bloody hard work. And we've seen that in that first couple of weeks, but it is good. It's a good feeling.
Yeah. So back to today's business, or today's sort of any other business. Let's deal with Everton first, just because we were just watching it here.
Yeah.
I mean, it was bouncing, wasn't it? And that's lovely.
Yeah.
I mean, what a way to christen their new place.
Yeah. I mean, I love Goodison Park, but you see that new stadium there today, and it was important they won. I know it's a big moment for the club, a monumental moment, but they felt like they had to win. And I was worried about them because I thought Brighton, the type of team that can just catch you, Welbeck, Matoma and Minter and players like that can just sort of cut through you. But Everton is a really good day for them. Good day for them in more ways than one. Jack Grealish, obviously, was given man of the match. Obviously, he had a couple of really good moments in the game. Not necessarily the second one, it's just a simple pass, but there was a good point made on commentary or in the studio that he attracted so many players over to him that he just then meant that there was a space inside for him to roll it. And his assist for the first goal was excellent. Now that's classic Jack Grealish, just getting a yard and putting it across. So yeah, really good day for Everton. I'm happy for them. It's a giant of a football club. And I think that obviously they've had some difficult times over this last 5, 6, 7, 8 years. I still think they're going to have some challenges on the pitch. I thought they were average, to be fair, at Leeds the other night, but a good win for them today, and it gets them going.
Which leaves us with Crystal Palace Forest, which was clearly, how do you put this? A political football match, wasn't it? There were plenty of subplots. I don't really know what question to ask you about it, so I'll just set you free
it wasn't
on Palace Forest.
Yeah, it wasn't a political football match for the players or for the fans. It's more from the clubs and sort of what's happened over the last few months. You can understand why there's a little bit of bad feeling. Obviously, then we had Nuno's interview on Friday, which looks like things might be just going a little south there, which who'd have thought? And yeah, but a 1-1 draw, probably the right result, probably the one that maybe the police wanted, the Premier League wanted, the security wanted. Yeah, but I think it's an interesting time. I felt sorry. I mean, you have to feel sorry for Crystal Palace. You do. I mean, getting into the Europa League and winning a trophy for the first time and winning the FA Cup like that. I mean, and then they can't go and play in the competition that they qualified for. So I think there's a lot of there's a lot of feeling that it's not quite right from people in football. But then we keep being told, don't we, that rules are rules, and obviously there has to be positions in place. They weren't quite sure at the time when I think they had to disguise their own or whatever it is you have to do now, put them in blind trust. As soon as you start saying blind trusts with football teams, you don't know something's wrong, don't you? It's like if they had put him in a blind trust, it'd have been okay. But now the fact that he actually opened himself up and he was there, well, I'm sorry, they can't go into Europe. So yeah, madness really.
Yeah, but in purely football terms, actually, and interestingly, that is the first time they hope of many that they're going to have to play Sunday off Thursday, because they had their qualifier at Selhurst Park, didn't they, on Thursday night? So that would be a learning experience for them. So we'll see how they deal with that. I think we should finish by you teeing up Monday Night Football, which is a belter. What do you think?
Yeah, it's a brilliant game. I think that Newcastle, you don't always get this type of game on a Monday night. But I think these two teams not being in the Carabao Cup, obviously in this round, and Europe's not started yet, means you're allowed. There's a blockbuster fixture with a bit of spice added because of the Isak situation. We all know what's going on there, I think, don't we? That they're waiting for this game to be finished before they do the business. Obviously, the last week of the window's coming as well. But yeah, it's a game I'm really looking forward to. It should be an outstanding fixture. A real test for Liverpool. Real test. Obviously, they're there to withstand it and can withstand it. But for Newcastle as well, it's a good moment for them. It's big home game, first game of the season, and it'll be really interesting to see what happens. I just want to mention that the penalty, the situation with Bruno Fernandes, I just thought I think he let it impact him. I think he didn't ask me before, but I thought he let it get to him. I mean, when he came out of the second half and he was still talking to the referee, I know that can happen, but I think you could see in his face sometimes with Bruno. I think he wears his heart on his sleeve, and it was quite clear that obviously he's desperately disappointed about missing the penalty in the way in which he did. I think sometimes if a goalkeeper saves it, you might think, well, okay, that happened, but he's smashed it over the bar. But then this idea of sort of that the referee disrupted his rhythm. The referee it was a complete accident. Obviously, the referee was trying to walk back towards players coming in, and he just seemed to let it impact him in the game. And I think that's just something that shouldn't have happened really. I think it was more important, but that wasn't the biggest problem out there for United today. I think that there's a couple of things in the first half. I think that the goalkeeper still looking a little shaky or very shaky on those crosses from corners, which can't continue because that anxiety builds. I've said it before. And then in central midfield, I think United have to do a piece of business now, because I would have liked to have thought that Mainu could step up and be that person. But it's quite clear that at this moment in time, Ruben Amorim's not having him. I mean, he starts with Casemiro and Bruno Fernandes. He then puts Mason Mount back in there, and then he brings Agati on in front of him, which tells you he's almost like fourth choice, really. And that means that they are going to need to, I think, get something sorted, because it's going to be a problem. The two in there, really does get exposed when that front three are just a little bit more higher, and that back five sometimes get pushed back a bit. Those gaps, those acres of space seem to open up, and I thought United got cut through quite a few times in there in the second half, and I think Bruno Fernandes is part of that in there, and he's going to have to sort it out.
Well, it's going to be a very interesting week for a lot of clubs, Manchester United included, right up to that transfer window.
Yeah, I think Isak's the big one, isn't it? I mean, that's the one that I think everybody will be waiting for. I think that Manchester United will have to get a goalkeeper, and I think they'll look at getting a central midfield player. You think Newcastle will have to do some business with the Isak money, so they'll be probably waiting and seeing, what they don't want to end up with is 150 million quid in the bank or 140 million quid in the bank, and then someone take it off them for inferior player or players. So I think that's what they'll be scared of. We've seen that too many times before. So I think there will be quite a bit of business, and it will be an interesting week, and it always is. Transfer deadline week, and yeah, it's a week that I think we like, particularly at Sky.
We do, and it leads up to a blockbuster next Sunday. See you at Anfield.
Yes, that'll be good too.
For
Watching
Liverpool
Liverpool and
Arsenal.
Arsenal. Yeah. See you next week, Peter.
Thanks, Gary.